Well, just did my first day of shadowing at the equipment rental place. Pretty much sitting outside now while the memories are fresh. So it was pretty interesting. I drove as passenger and helper with two guys. One was driving a large pickup truck with a lift gate, and the other one was a tilt and load or roll back. Tilt and load. Basically tow truck, what I used to drive like in early 2000, like 2002. And first we had two deliveries and one pickup. So we loaded scaffolding. It was a bit heavy, but it has frames, then it has braces and platforms, right? So you have to load them. Yeah, and you have to make sure you pick up the proper size because they're different. They can be like platforms can be different, frames can be different, right? But they're all color coded, so they were explaining everything to me, nicely. And then we did two deliveries, and it was like nice run, like pickup truck with Ram 3500 with Cummins diesel, man, like super powerful truck. That would be fun to drive. And we drove like 30 clicks, to the first drop, and it was just like a super small site, just basically a house, right? They were working on one house, and there's nobody there. And I asked them, what do we do? Like, do we need to sign any paperwork? They said, no, just drop everything in front of the house. That was their instruction. So we dropped everything, left them a copy of the bill of lading, went to the second drop, did the same, and then third, we picked up also just a couple of small pieces of scaffolding at another private house where they finished the job, And then after that, we came back, and they put me with this guy who drives a 5-ton truck. And so now the loads became bigger. We moved pretty much, we only moved those, what do you call them? Scissor lifts or aerial platforms. We moved a bunch of those. And there was also a mix of deliveries and pickups. One was exchange. Basically, somebody had the scissor neck and they broke the controller. And we went there with the fresh one, and then we had to switch controllers 2 times to drive the first one out, and load. Well, of course, first we had to unload and load. And yeah, they showed me how they chain. Pretty straightforward. They just have like 3/8 chains and binders, and they asked me, they said, do you have experience with this? And they pointed to the chains. I said, well, that's one I know for sure, because I did this when I switched to flatbed, probably 2008 or 2007, when I switched from driving to flatbed, and then step deck, then RGN. It was all straps, mostly on flatbed, but also chains, right? So that's one thing I know for sure. And so the trucks are all automatics with exhaust brakes, like, the big truck. Well, I call it a big truck. It's just a 5-ton Freightliner. And so they have a second one sitting there. They don't have a driver for it. So now they're saying, if I'm okay with the job, that's why, they wanted to shadow, see how you like it, because they said some guys just stay a month and they leave, they never give the job a chance. But the money is okay. And also I discovered today one thing the boss did not tell me is that actually they get overtime if they ask them to stay after 4 p.m. And that's what I like the hours here. It's like 7 to 4, like, well, you have to be here like 5-10 minutes before the opening at 7, and then 4 o'clock you're done. Like now it's just after 4. So we did like 2 trips, no, like 2 pickups, 1 delivery with a pickup truck, and then we did like 3 trips with a large truck. And so tomorrow I'm doing the same 5-ton routine. So the guys are very nice. This guy that drives a 5-ton, he's been with the company for 4 years, and he says he likes it, and you get used to it. And mostly basically smaller stuff, lots of scaffolding, and then that's number 1 load they move, and then number 2 is aerial platforms, scissor lifts, which are super popular. And then he says in the summer they move a lot of skid steers, and they have these mini excavators. I'm guessing for landscapers and construction sites, once, because now it's like plus 10, 50F. So construction definitely is picking up. So it's a good time to get into this because it's warm. I asked them if they allow shorts. They said no. Like inside the truck, you can drive in your shorts, but most construction sites will not allow you to get in if you're dressed in shorts, but they allow short sleeve t-shirts, so which is cool. So yeah, it would be a nice job. We drove around. I already know Calgary pretty well, but of course you still have to use GPS. And one problem I learned is that well, first of all, you have to pay attention to the paperwork, because like a scaffolding, right, you need to select the correct size of frames and platforms, and it's all in the paperwork, and it's super tiny typeface. But the second challenge for drivers is that quite often they deliver and pick up from super new brand communities, so there's no house numbers, there's no street names, and they showed me a couple of tricks. They said, like, when there's no real sign on the door, they would use a spray paint, and they put the house number either on the second floor in the window, or they will just spray paint it on the side of the house somewhere. So that's how you try to find your house where you're dropping off your stuff. And then also they said, new communities, you cannot, most of the time you won't be able to find them on the Google Maps, And so there's a website, he said, here in at least here in Calgary, there's a website for new communities, and you can go there and you can use a locator, like a GPS on there. But one of the properties, the first guy on the pickup truck, he couldn't find it on his phone because he was using Google Maps. I tried Apple Maps on my phone, and Apple Maps was able to find that street, and then we just hooked it up via the cable through CarPlay, and so that we could see the map on the big screen. And actually I'm gonna start doing that on my in my car as well, if I would do deliveries again. And one challenge for me is that they pay twice a month, right? And the cutoff, of course, is like 1 week before the payday. So anything like let's say they have a payday on 15th and 30th. Now here's my practical situation. I'm kind of like very short on cash, and now like 10th of March is the cutoff for the 15th of March pay. So basically, if they hire me tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm doing shadowing, and then they said in the afternoon the boss is going to sit down with me, see if I'm okay with this job. And I just saw him, actually. He said hi when I was leaving. I said, yeah, I like it, I can do it. I said those frames are a bit heavy for scaffolding, but I said I do farmer's walk with 2 70-pound kettlebells. It's actually heavier than this. And so yeah, so basically I won't see any money until March 30th, because let's say if they hire me tomorrow or Wednesday, because it's already the cutoff, so I have to survive for like 3 weeks, 20 days, but I'll figure something out. So, but yeah, all in all, like, interesting job. You don't drive to the same location, and from the same location you're all over the place. And the other guy was telling me that sometimes they would send him like 100 kilometers away, like 70 kilometers away. They do a lot of business, he says, in Cochrane, which is like 1 hour away. Like, I like that. So it's not, you're not always like within 5 minutes, and you constantly loading and loading. Nobody bothers you. They give you, every driver has a company cell phone, but nobody bothered, like 2 of these drivers I worked with, like nobody bothered them during the day. Nobody was calling and say, hey, why the heck are you still there? You're supposed to be 500 miles closer to the other location. No, it's not like in semi-trucking where sometimes dispatchers are just pushing you. So here it was kind of like relaxed, like the rush in the morning was to get out of the yard, because they were saying if you come to the construction sites later in the day, they can be super busy, and so they try to get out of the yard as soon as possible. And also he said they preload, like on the night before, they already know what they're gonna be delivering tomorrow, so they're gonna preload everything. Let's say, if they're not, like today we just came back at like 5 to 4, so 4 o'clock we had to leave, right? But if, let's say, you come at 3 or 3:30, so you have still some time, you can preload, and then in the morning you just show up and you drive your truck, So yeah, pickup trucks are super nice, all huge, I think they're all diesel, all like either Ram, or they have some big Fords with huge beds with that lift gate, and it's electric, no PTO. It always on, as long as the engine working. There's like just one switch there, up and down, and then just once it's up, you put some safety pins in. So yeah, it's okay. I can do the pickup truck, I can do the tilt and load truck, no problem. And I told him, I said, first couple of trips I'll probably have to double check with somebody in the shop to make sure I picked up the proper, let's say, scaffolding, or I did the paperwork properly. But I think after like 1 week, maybe 2 weeks, I should be okay. But maybe during the first week I'll make a couple of mistakes, Nobody is safe from that. So, but yeah. So I feel quite good, especially since this other guy I drove with, he said he's been with the company 4 years and he likes it. He likes the hours. He says the management is okay. So it looks good. So just wanted to share my impressions about the first day. Of course, it's free day. They're not paying me for this. They just want me to shadow the driver, see what he's doing, how they're dealing with the paperwork. So yeah, it's fun. I feel a bit excited, happy to get back into the workforce and start making some money.